Hi everyone, it's Brittany and it's time for another round of Timmies TBR, my August version. I cannot believe another month has come and gone. However, it hasn't really as the time of me filming this. I will be on vacation the last full week of July, so I am filming this a little bit early. So keep that in mind when I'm talking about rollovers, but really not so much because I have had a good first couple weeks of July and I have read almost all of my TBR. For those of you who are new to Timmies, this is my TBR game that I play every month based off my love of Tim Hortons coffee. We try to get to the end of the board and we see what prompts the board gives us. If it's nice, if it's mean, you never really know with Timmies. Last month, it was pretty nice, so I'm kind of holding my breath for this month. Because really, could it be nice 2 times in a row? I feel like unlikely. But we'll see. But first, let's look at how I've done so far in July. Out of my TBR, I am only rolling over 1 book. The only book I haven't finished as of the halfway point of the month is Second Chance Pass by Robin Carr. This is the 5th book in the Virgin River series, and I do not foresee me finishing this, especially with being on vacation. I'm not taking it with me, so I think this one is definitely rolling over, and that's totally fine. 1 book rollover, that's not a big deal. But we are starting the TBR off with 1 book. So let's dive into our first roll and see how Timmies is going to treat us this month. Roll number 1 is a 6. A series spinner wheel space. So our first roll is a series spinner wheel space. Now, if you have seen this game before, you will know that I normally cut to a shot of me spinning a wheel. The wheel has all 50 some series that I am in the middle of, and it will randomly choose a book to put on my TBR. That is actually how the Virgin River one got on my TBR, was from a series spinner wheel. As I was looking at how that was working on the game, I realized it's not really hitting the goals that I want. I put 3 series spinner wheel spaces on this board so that I could finish series. But because it's randomly choosing the series, it's sometimes working on one that I'm not close to finishing or that I'm not necessarily needing to prioritize. And therefore, I'm still not finishing series because I'm doing 1 here, 1 there at very random intervals. So I was talking to my patrons and decided to kind of change up how the series spaces will work on the board. They will still work on a series space, but I will get to decide what series I'm working on. That way I can work on some of these ones that I only have 1 book left to finish or that I'm closer to finishing versus ones that I have 20 or some books to do because they're like cozy mystery series. So that is the new change, and for this one, I will be working on Shadow Stitch by Carly Thomas. I actually don't have my copy of this yet because it does not come out to the 16th of the month, and today is the 15th. But I will have this before the month of August comes around. This is the sequel to Threadneedle that I read not last month, but the month before in June. And I'm reading this with my patrons. We did the first one as a book club book, and we've continued the series as kind of like a series buddy read. So I need to get this one in August anyway, so this is perfect. Since this is a sequel, I can't really talk about much of what happens in Shadow Stitch. It is a sequel. I cannot spoil the first book. We will continue to follow Anna and her friends, following a lot of things that happened at the very end of Threadneedle. A lot of things have happened. There's still a lot of magical mysteries to be solved, and I'm excited to see how we kind of continue on with it in Shadow Stitch. In the first book, we do follow Anna, and Anna is kind of taught by her aunt that magic is bad. She is a witch, her aunt is a witch, but her aunt teaches her that magic is actually very dangerous. She meets some friends at school that actually open up the world of magic to her, and we follow her discovering her magic while also seeing some magical mysteries that are happening around London. Roll number 2 is an 8. Is a coffee space. A retelling. Roll number 2 was a nice big roll, 8 spaces. It's getting us around the board, and it gave me a prompt that I absolutely love. A retelling. I have never met a retelling that I did not like. Also, I feel like I've always been in my retelling era, but I am entering it in a bigger way recently. Most of the books that I have been hauling, you will see a book haul coming up soon, are retellings. A lot of beautiful sprayed edges retellings. However, none of those are the ones that I'm choosing because I do want to work on something coming up, and this book works better for those plans. And that is Kiss the Girl by Zordea Cordova. This is the third book in the Meant to Be series, which are a series of contemporary romance fairy tale retellings. They are all written by different authors, so you can definitely read them out of order. This is the third book. The fourth one just came out, so I need to read the third one. And this one is a Little Mermaid retelling, and in it we follow Ariel. Ariel and her sisters are actually part of a very famous girl group called the Seven Sirens. They have been touring, they have been very busy putting out albums and all these things, and they are ready for a break. However, their father owns the record label and has some ideas for Ariel to start a solo career. One night, her sisters and her sneak out to a bar, and they meet Eric, who is an up-and-coming singer and about to go on tour. He does not know who Ariel is, and he invites her to kind of go on tour with him, just as, I think, like a groupie. She decides to disobey her father and go with Eric on tour. These are some of my favorite contemporary romance retellings out there, this Meant to Be series. The Easter eggs to the original fairy tales are so fun to kind of discover and find as you go through, and I can't wait to dive into this Little Mermaid retelling. Roll number 3 is a 7. Another series space. And then we got a series space, and for this I am going to finish out a read that I have been working on for the last few months. This is part of the Chestnut Springs Along, and I need to finish this series. So I will be reading Hopeless by Elsie Silver. Now, as of filming this, I have not read Reckless. I will be reading Reckless as soon as I return from vacation because that is right before the live show. So it will be read, but it is not currently read. So as of filming this, I still don't really know how the series is going to treat me going into Hopeless. I was mid about Flawless. I loved Heartless. I DNF'd Powerless. Reckless is unknown to us, and now we're going to go into Hopeless. These follow the Easton brothers or the Easton family, depending on who we're looking at. And in this one, we follow Bo. I do not know who Bo's love interest is. And I'm just going to leave it that way. I have no idea. I'm not going to look. It's probably on the back, but I will discover it as we go along. And that will be the end of my journey with Chestnut Springs after this book. Roll number 4 is a 6. A donut space, a book with a clock or time on the cover. So this prompt is a little bit difficult. A book with a clock or time on the cover. But I think I have a book that I actually need to read for a video that actually has a form of a clock on it. And that is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. If you look very closely at this, you will see there is an hourglass on the cover. And an hourglass is used to, keep track of time. A short period of time or a long period of time, depending on size of hourglass, but still a timepiece nonetheless. This is a sequel to A Dowry of Blood. It's dark academia, and it's based around the fictional story of Carmilla. So it's got that vampire lore that we got from the first book. I expect beautiful prose, and I haven't really looked that deeply into the synopsis because I kind of want to go into this with it not too strongly in my head so I can just experience the book for what it is. This book was actually on a previous TBR and got cleared off my TBR when I cleared the board at the midpoint of the year. And I was kind of sad I didn't get to it, but I will definitely be getting to it this month because it is actually for a collab video. Roll number 5 is a 7. So close. And we have an iced coffee space with a failed TBR book. The board did me a tiny bit dirty because we missed the end of the board by 1 space. We couldn't have rolled an 8. So for a failed TBR book, I am going to do a book that was on my mid-year scramble TBR for the month of July that I just know realistically not going to get to. Again, I'm losing an entire week of reading. And that book is Ashes of the Sun by Django Wexler. I do really want to read this. It's one of Bree's favorite books, and I really think I will enjoy it. So this follows a brother and a sister, and they are following this war that has really destroyed what the world is currently like. The sister gets taken at the age of 5 to be in something called the Twilight Order. Her being taken obviously angers her brother, and he swears to like get back at them someday. 12 years later, they are 17 years old, and she is part of the Twilight Order, and he is a thief and a bandit. And it says, together the siblings will discover that not even ties of blood will keep them from splitting the world in two. Bree and I agree on a lot of fantasy, so I have very high hopes for reading this, and I was very sad that I didn't get to it in July, so I'm glad it's getting on the Timmies TBR for August. And our last roll gets us to a mood read. Now, obviously, with only having one space left, we got to the end of the board. And if you watch these at all, you will know what book I am putting on for this last space, because I do it every month. Because for some reason, the B&K Book Club book never works for a prompt. It never works. So it's always my free space. The B&K Book Club book is a book club that I run with my friend Kelsey over here on Instagram and YouTube. The Discord is always down below for you to join us and read a book with us. For the month of August, we are reading a novel love story by Ashley Poston. This will be my first Ashley Poston book. Kelsey has read a few Ashley Postons, but I have not, so I am coming in with the newest release. So in this book, we follow Elsie, and Elsie loves a book. Elsie is a girl after my own heart, frankly. She loves a good book. She loves a good romance novel. She is going away to a book club retreat when her car breaks down, and it breaks down just outside a very small little community. We love a small town. However, Elsie starts to question what is going on when she realizes this small town is actually straight out of one of her favorite romance novels. How is this tiny town from a book coming to real life? We'll find out in here. I know that Ashley Poston sometimes has some magical realism component to her books, and it sounds like this one does as well. So we have made it to the end of the board. However, we have not made it to the end of the TBR. There are 2 books that I mandatorily need to read in August that did not fit any prompts, so let's talk about those. The first one is the next book in Wheel of Time, Lord of Chaos, which is book 6 in the Wheel of Time. I am reading through the Wheel of Time with a few people over on the B&K Discord, and we are going to be moving on to book 6. Book 4 was rough for me. Book 5, I'm in the middle of. It's going much better. So now that we're back on me enjoying the Wheel of Time book train, I'm not dreading this one as much as I was dreading going into 5, because 4 was rough. But 5 is much better, and I hope we keep it up in 6. I also have to read my Patreon book club book for the months of July and August. Didn't get to it in July, so I need to get to it in August. And that is Heavenbreaker by Sarah Wolf. This is a Red Tower book, which again, always hesitant with a Red Tower book because the editing has let me down many a time in the past. But I keep buying them because they are absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. They're beautiful books, so I will continue to buy them, which is probably how it ended up winning the book club poll, because my patrons are like me and they know that we may not love this, but it's pretty, so we bought it, and now this will help us actually read it all together. I will be doing a spoiler vlog for my patrons for this, so that is part of my month's schedule for the month of August, is reading this and making that vlog and chatting with them in the Discord for the book club. I don't even know who we follow in this book because the synopsis does not tell me. It's from first person, so it just keeps saying like, I did this, I did that. So I don't even know who they are. But it sounds like they start off the book with killing a duke with my dagger in his back. That sounds dramatic. So maybe some sort of assassin we follow. Again, I'm not sure, but I do know that they end up riding on a Heavenbreaker, which is one of the few enormous machines left over from the war. So this Heavenbreaker is some sort of, ship of some kind that our potential assassin will be riding. So I did know this was sci-fi going in, which was one of the reasons I got so excited to get it. So I think it's going to be a fantasy sci-fi blend. And unfortunately, I can tell you nothing else because the synopsis is extremely vague. So here is our stack for the month of August. This also includes some Kindle books, and we have 9 books on the TBR for August. It's a little bit big, but it is doable, especially since a lot of these are for videos and book clubs, so I knew I was going to have to read them anyway. There's not a ton of extras on here. So I think this month went okay. We'll see at the start of September when I go through what I did read if it did go okay, but I think it's going to be okay. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video and want to leave me a comment but don't know what to leave me a heart emoji for the novel love story, because I think that one is a character after my own heart. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.